Hey everybody, how's it going tonight? Texas Redleg here. I wanted to talk about a topic that a lot of people seem to be talking about currently, and that's this situation with forthcoming shortages and shortages in a lot of different areas, but mainly apparently it's going to be the food items and some obviously building materials, construction related materials, some plastics, rubbers, things like that that are going to be difficult to find going forward. But the particular one I want to discuss tonight is mainly the food situation and how trying to uh, keep all the food groups together with regards to your preps and such is sort of a monstrosity. And although I love canned goods too, and all that stuff, it's sometimes a little impractical to expect to have a bunch of canned goods on you when the time comes, and at least storing a whole bunch of them doesn't seem to be, I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be realistic to me. I mean, obviously, if you've got the room to store them and you have enough, that's great. But think about if you're prepared in that area or not. And one of the areas I wanted to discuss, at least sort of one of the areas that I'm going to sort of gravitate my meal preps towards, is the easily stored items, the items that don't take up a lot of room, and items that have a long shelf life. So items that can be, you just add water to. In other words, to reconstitute something, dehydrated foods and things like that. But there's also just a lot of stuff that you can get off the shelf on a regular basis that you could just add water to and probably have a pretty good method of survival regarding, nutrition and such. But some of those things I wanted to talk about, some of those actual items, like I said, are readily available in your stores, and some of them have a fairly long shelf life. And I'm just going to run through a few of them here. But again, I'm sort of focusing on just the things that you can, that are lightweight and that you can just add water to and have something to eat that has, a decent amount of protein in it. And one of those is just powdered protein, right? I mean, you can look at all the nutritional facts and this and that and see what it is it contains and what you need. But, powdered protein, takes the place of having to have a bunch of meat and other things like that you're going to, protein-wise, that you're going to need to survive or to ride something out. Another one is, just like instant oatmeal packs, right? I mean, these pretty much last forever. I've never seen them expire. I'm sure they would eventually if you weren't able to keep it, cool and in a cool and dry spot, so to speak. But these little powdered instant oatmeals or regular oats is a decent source of protein and carbs there for you. Another one is like chicken and beef, bouillon, things like this that you can, put in a boiling pot of water, maybe add a few things, maybe some pieces of pasta or something like that, in other words, just to give it some nice flavor and protein. But there's all kinds of stuff like this that you just add water and it's a little cube like that. And there's beef and chicken, as most of you know, that you can get some protein out of. And again, it doesn't take up much space and it lasts forever pretty much. And then you have like these instant gelatins, things like that, just typical Jello stuff that you can add water to and reconstitute. Again, one of the reasons that of course, the key to all this stuff is water. You got to be able to have water and clean, potable water that you can consume safely. But to me, having access to clean water or being able to sanitize water makes a whole lot more sense than carrying around a bunch of canned goods or having to try to store a bunch of canned goods. They're great to have. I'm not saying don't, store them or prep with them, but I think being able to just add water to something is a huge thing, because you can make a rain catchment system and catch water from your gutters on your house, or from leaves in the forest, or a creek or a body of water. We've all talked about how to sanitize water properly to be able to consume it safely. So this all hinges upon you being able to master that skill should the problem arise. But I would really focus on, at least look at some of these just add water type of sustenance items, just because, again, they're lightweight. You can store a bunch of them. It doesn't just take a whole lot of preparation to have something that's fairly nutritious to eat in order to keep you going and keep you in a survival mode. And then again, lightweight, you can throw a lot of these on your back and go. It's not that big of a deal. Weight and canned goods and prepared stuff like that is gonna kill people with logistics and just trying to get around. If it's something they have to end up going out on foot with, they're going to be dead quick. They're not going to be able to handle it. If it comes to that, you want to be able to, be light on your feet and be mobile, and, carry as much as you can safely and, in a light manner in order to make tracks quick. So anyway, I would think about the long shelf life items that are easily stored in small, areas, and just being able to add water to, consume them, make them edible. So I would really focus on that if I were you, or at least consider looking into it. Everybody has a different situation, but to me, it simplifies things, and, it's not real glamorous, and it's probably not real tasty most of the time, but, you can get some honey or what have you, and some raw honey, and that'll sweeten things up for you if it's something that you need. Another thing I want to talk about tonight, and I'm certainly not exempt from it, is the idea of portion control. A lot of people already go through this with dieting, but in a food shortage situation where it's of epidemic proportions, everybody's going to have to learn how to portion control and just eat what you need. And we all need to start with that, probably in some form or fashion. It'd be a good idea to go ahead and maybe start it now and get used to living that way and consuming meals that way, so you're not unnecessarily over consuming your stocks. I think that's going to be important down the road. I really do. Another thing with this nutrition and proteins and surviving with limited amounts of food is to maybe understand nutrition a little bit better, and understand what type of nutrition you need and your family members need, and maybe your kids need. Maybe you need to get some nutrition guides or something that can tell you exactly, well, these contain this, and this is how much you need a day. I'm certainly not an expert on it, but I'm just saying a quick reference book of some kind with regards to nutritional guidelines might be a good idea to have during a situation that we all could be facing pretty soon with regards to this food shortage, if you believe that it's coming. And I don't know that we'll see certainly a complete stoppage of food like you hear that's going on in a lot of other places, but we might. I don't know. But I think it's certainly good to be prepared for it. But, portion control, and then understanding, having a basic knowledge of nutritional needs for you and your family and your kids probably would be a good idea to have. Like I said, we all talked about, the idea of having your home set up as your castle from a prepping standpoint. And I firmly believe that. But again, also having a condensed version of that you can throw in a bag and throw on your back if you have to, or throw in a vehicle, is good as well. And I think you should, consider, keeping these lightweight, food sources, divvied up between different bags and areas as well. So you always have, what you need. You don't need to go load a bag if you have to run, You should have bags that are ready to go, hence the term go bag. It's always ready to go, and that's why they call it that. Of course, keep your foot on the gas with regards to the seeds and all the 2A items. Again, winter's coming up, flu season's coming up. I would go ahead and reconstitute any, pain relievers, cold and flu, over-the-counter stuff that you can get your hands on. Currently, I would go ahead and grab that stuff. It's going to be leaving the shelves in short order, I'm quite sure. But anyway, things like that, it's a good idea to get now before they become short, and before they become, difficult to get. So I would maybe just look at what your inventory is and top those off as you need to. Don't forget, throat drops and cough drops, things that, can soothe a sore throat. And, of course, the pain reliever, which I already talked about. Maybe brush up on some first aid, maybe brush up on, or not brush up on, but reconstitute some of your first aid items, such as bandages and tape, wound wash, things like that. So you can address those things should they come about. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like there's something in the air. And I don't mean that to be funny. I'm just thinking that there's a whole lot going on. It just everything feels topsy-turvy to me right now. And of course, I'm always skeptical, basically, with what we've got going on now worldwide. But I would just caution everybody not to get, don't get lulled to sleep. And, this prepping lifestyle should, I always say it shouldn't consume you, but it should be part of you, and you should probably be thinking about this stuff, a good portion of your week, as you go through it, each week. And, remind yourself of the things that you need to get, or maybe have a discussion with your MAG or your close friends and family on what things that you probably need to brush up on or get better at or add to. That way, everybody's on the same page. And don't slack up on the fuel. Always have enough to get to your bug out destination or your secondary or tertiary location. Try to keep those fuel tanks half tank full or more at all times, and then have at least enough fuel where you can get it from your place of domicile to wherever it is you're going to go. You need to have that much fuel, in separate canisters at your home or somewhere hidden where you can grab them quick and go. I think that fuel, communication, all that stuff's going to be affected at some point. And, the more arrows you have in your quiver, the better, in order to get where you need to be. Should it come to that, the better off you're going to be. So, I hope everybody's doing well. I've been pretty busy with work and such, but sort of kind of regrouping and going through some of my stuff. Went through a bunch of 2A stuff last weekend, and got a good inventory of that, and sort of just dusted off everything and did some lubrication things to them so they're moving freely and such, and just make sure they're in good working order. But with that, I would just tell everybody to keep doing what you're doing and maybe try to get better and communicate with each other. You never know, somebody might be able to teach you something you didn't know before. So anyway, keep prepping, stack it deep, and long live the Republic.